It's really great to see everyone. And I want to introduce our speaker today and still let people in. Okay, I can do this.
You're doing
So,
great.
thank you. Thank you. Our speaker today is Rabbi Dr. Brielle Page Rassler. And this is her book. And we have some at the in my office. I brought mine home today. She has released 2 albums of original music. Oh, we could ask you to sing. A reference guide to the Talmud, which is always good. A manual for religiously integrated treatment of Jewish women with eating disorders, so important. And is currently working on her 3rd volume of emerging book series, A Millennial's Poetic Interpretation. As a psychologist and spiritual counselor, Dr. Brielle has been working with individuals, families, and groups forcing a variety of challenges since 2011. You must have had your hands full during COVID. She has worked at several substance abuse and eating disorder treatment centers, including Into Action Treatment, Pathway to Hope, the Renfrew Center, Penn Medicine Princeton House, and the Penn Medicine Princeton Center for Eating Disorders. Rabbi Dr. Brielle has also worked with individuals struggling with depression, anxiety, trauma, and losses of all kinds. She currently maintains a private practice and also provides consultation and training on the topic of Jewish women and eating disorders, of mental and medical health practices, educational settings, and religious settings nationwide. Rabbi Dr. Brielle serves as a lead chaplain of integrated wellness at Penn Medicine Princeton Health. She previously served with Penn Medicine Princeton Health System as a doctoral psychology intern and as director and lead therapist of the grief counseling program, implemented as a crisis intervention response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I predicted that. Well, I'm going to cut that.
You don't have to read the whole thing.
Right. I'm going to put her website in the chat and then you can go and look at it yourself. So, without any further ado, I can't wait to hear. As always, if you have a question, please raise your hand virtually, put it in the chat, and we will get to you. We will absolutely get to you. And here we go.
Thank you, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's a real blessing to be with you all today. Here, the title of our session, Psalms as Medicine for the Soul. And that's really the intention, is to dive into this book, this ancient book, and see what new medicine we can glean from it to help us in our lives today. And we're going to start with a song together. I will put the words in the chat. And this song, this is an original song, and it is inspired by Psalm 23. We'll be digging into Psalm 23 a little bit later in our hour. This is the psalm that we often hear at funerals, during Yisker. And so we'll be seeing, I'll try to kind of create those context points for us so that we can understand where these psalms already exist in our lives for some of us, and also how we can make that so as we feel inspired. So I want you to, you're going to be, muted, but I'll be able to see and feel you. I want you to repeat after me. God, you are with me. Amazing. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow, we have nothing to fear. Amazing. It goes like this. You'll learn it and sing along. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow, we have nothing to fear. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy places. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy times. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow we have nothing to fear. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy places. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy times. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow we have nothing to fear. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy places. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy times. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow we have nothing to fear. As we take a few deep breaths together to really allow the medicine of these words to really penetrate the soul. It takes time after a nigun, after a prayer. We want to rush to the next thing, and it's important not to do that. It's important to really allow the soul time to digest. Beautiful. So I want to outline a little bit of where we are and where we're going this morning as a way of kind of waking up, connecting together, seeing where this journey is going to take us. So as Vanessa had mentioned, I have a series of these sacred text translations. And the first one that is published and available in the world is the Psalm translation. And I love talking about Psalms, but really I realize more and more, the more that I do this work, that it's about using sacred text to grow our relationship with God. That by really diving into these ancient words and seeing, what else they could mean, what real soul medicine is there to offer. And it's hard because when we're looking at, certain translations of these words, the Hebrew, we call it the Lashon Kodesh. And many of us, myself included, growing up, my family is not religious. I did not grow up speaking Hebrew, though I did go to day school and eventually became a rabbi. So I like to think I know some stuff now. But one of the reasons for a lot of people that it's hard to really connect with some of our ancient texts is that we're relying on somebody else's translation of them, somebody else's interpretation of them. And there's so much magic in the Hebrew words themselves, the way that the roots, hyperlink to other concepts and intertwine with each other, the way that gematria, sacred Hebrew numerology, helps things to come alive. And so that is really one of the things I'm most passionate about when I'm teaching any type of sacred text is these little nuggets of how the Lashon Kodesh, how the sacred language of our lineage, what medicine is hidden in there for us, and how we can really use that to grow our relationship with God, or maybe even entertain having one for the first time, and thereby really manifesting healing, that our soul is craving on so many levels. We're also going to talk about yearning. A lot of the Psalms are prayers. Traditionally, we say that they were written by King David. And regardless of who they were written by somebody with yearning and somebody who understood what it meant to go through stuff and to turn to God in order to get through the stuff. And so that is, we're going to be exploring that to really fully, shamelessly open to what our heart is desiring. making space for our heart's desires to be fulfilled. And we're also going to look at gratitude. We're going to look at several, genres of psalms, of Tehillim. Tehillim is the Hebrew word for psalms. And we'll look at how gratitude fits into all of this as well. Okay, so first, by way of introduction, I want to share a few things about the book, and really more so about the way that I approach sacred text as a means of developing, enhancing our relationship with God, and finding healing through sacred words. So this is the book, and as Vanessa said, I guess there's some copies at the office, and I'll also post some links at the end of where.
Thank you. Because
yeah.
if we run out, I've started giving them out already. So if we run out, let us know where we can get more.
Wonderful. So I want to share some things that I do when I look at sacred text, both in this work and beyond, as a means of invitation for you all to do the same. First is that I've degendered God and the person communicating with God, right? It is really important that people of all genders not only see themselves reflected in the divine, but see themselves as capable of being in relationship with the divine. Okay? One of the ways that I did this, that I continue to do this, that kind of serves a dual purpose, is by transforming the texts into first-person narratives. So rather than a he person talking to a he God, right? It's an I person talking to a thou God, right? I, thou. And that, it addresses the gender issue. And it also, again, is making them real, making them real. We're going to talk about transcending stage directions, as I like to say, right? The psalm says, let us do this, or I shall. It's like, all right, well, then let's do it, right? So by, rather than kind of peeking into someone's prayerful relationship with God, I want a prayerful relationship with God, right? So I'm going to turn that into an I-thou experience in the way that I translate and really pray the text. Tehillim is one of the books of the Hebrew Bible that we really pray it. If you look at the Siddur, the prayer book, by far, the book of Psalms is the most represented book of the Bible that shows up in the liturgy that we pray.
And we sing it every week. Come at 6:30 on Friday, or Torah study. We sing especially Psalm 100 and 150, but there's so much of this that you already all know.
Amen. Amen. So, great. One of the other things we look at is expanding possibilities, right? So each Hebrew word, you can boil it down to a sometimes 2, sometimes 4, most often 3-letter root. And these roots have so many meanings. And so often in my work, and what I encourage others to do as well, is, we know what Art Scroll says that it means, right? We know what King James says that it means, but what else could this mean? What else could this mean? That is always the question that I'm asking. And it's also the question that I ask in my practice as a psychologist, as a spiritual director, as a human, right? That we go through life and things happen, and we have the stories that we tell ourselves about XYZ circumstances. We have the definitions of what this circumstance means. And it's important to pause and say, well, what else could this mean? What else could this mean? What else could be going on? And that is something that we can take into really any and all circumstances. Yes. So Tehillim is simply the Hebrew word for Psalms. So Psalms is an English word, though probably a Latin word. And Tehillim is a Hebrew word. It's the same thing. And yes, and if as you read the book, and we'll read a couple of them together today, you'll see that for the most part, I'd say like 95%. Sometimes, I awaken the divine feminine because I can, and we should. But 95% of the time, you'll see that there's simply no gender in the text. So yes, Psalms and Tehillim, same thing. There are 150 of them. And great. Any other questions so far? Wonderful. Okay. So, one other thing that I will share as kind of an introductory concept as we're diving in here together is what I did with the concept of evil. Okay? There are 3 main words for evil that are used throughout the book of Psalms and throughout many other sacred texts as well. They are Rasha, Sorarai, and Oyev. So I think it's very important. And in the Psalms, a lot of people, a lot of times there's certain Psalms that it's like, because we're like asking God to kill people, it sounds like. And that's not good. We don't want to do that. And so it's really important to look at, well, what else could this mean? What else could this mean? And so I looked at these 3 words for evil and really felt that they are different kinds of energy. That we are not, God forbid, asking God to kill people. However, we are saying that there's some real shadow energy in this world. And we absolutely are asking God to cut that out. And so by shifting what it is that we're asking for, we can really put our full yearning and our full prayerful heart into it. So these are the 3 types of shadow energy. First, we have the Rasha. Rasha, if you listen to the sound of the word, it is a combination of 2 words, the word Ra and the word Ra'ash. The word Ra, that the Resh Ayin are the 2 letters of that word. I could do an entire semester on that shoresh. It is so rich. For now, we'll say one of the things it means is evil. And the word Ra'ash means noise. Evil, noise. So the Rasha, energetically, is the evil noise of the world. Turn on the news, right? There is so much evil noise that is being spewed at us, right? Go eavesdrop on a conversation between middle school girls, right? I'm sure I see Ashley hopped on for a sec. You might deal with some of that in the Hebrew school, though, I'm sure, God willing, not so much, because I'm sure you have a wonderful, supportive community, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable, right? That there is evil noise. There is shadow noise all over the place. In our own hearts and minds, right? There's yucky stuff playing in there that we want, God, take it out, cut it down, right? Mute it. We look at the Tsorarai. Tsorarai is also a combination of some things. Tsarar, when we do the El Male prayer, that's one of the another prayer that's done for funerals and for Yisker, the El Male Rachamim, that one, okay? And we say, Utzror bitzror hachayim, may the person be bound up in the bonds of life. So if something is tsarar, it is bound up, bound up. Tsar is also like the word Mitzrayim. It means a narrow, which is Egypt. It means a narrow place. A narrow place. So something that is tsar or tsarar, it is narrow, it is constricted, it is bound up. When you put a yud, that's that I sound, at the end of a word, it means belonging to the self. So if we put that together, we have something that is narrow, something that is bound up, that is belonging to the self. So the tsorarai, I say it is the inner narrowness. It is all of the things that keep us constricted, restricted, the ways in which we narrow our perspectives, the ways in which we cut ourselves down, we keep ourselves small, we prevent ourselves from living fully into the potential that God has created us for. We keep ourselves isolated, lonely. So the tsorarai, again, is that inner narrowness that keeps us like this. Okay? And yeah, we want to be free of that. So when we say to, cut down the tsorarai, we're saying like cut the strings and the bonds that are keeping me so isolated and so restricted and so in that old story of what's possible and what isn't, and etc. Right? I'm sure we know what I'm talking about. And the last one is the oyev. The oyev. And if you say the word oyev, we'll do this together several times in a row. Let's hear what happens. Oyev, 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 oyev. Yep, there we go. So the oyev is all of the like oyevs of life, right? It's all of the things that it's like as if XYZ huge traumas weren't enough. Then I had to miss the light. Then I had to, signing on for my Zoom meeting, and that's when it wants to update, and now I'm 10 minutes late. That's when, I forget to put the laundry in the dryer, and now it's mildewy, and I have to do it again. Like, all of the things that are just like Dayenu with the big stuff, and yet we have all these little things that make, and those are the things that sometimes can really send people over the edge, right? It's often not the huge things. It's the tsuris, someone is saying. So the tsuris is kind of related to that tsar word, and then the oive, so they are genre wise connected. Yes. So we see that we have these three types of evil energy that now when you see these words, whether it be in Psalms or in other sacred texts, you can have this this additional understanding of it, and you'll see over time how that impacts the way that how these texts live in your heart, and the healing and the learning that is there. So we're going to move forward now and look at a couple of Psalms and Psalm fragments a little bit more deeply. So the first we're going to look at is a piece from Psalm 23. And we're just going to look at a little piece of it, the opening line. Okay? Adonai, Mizmor LeDavid is a song for David or a song for the beloved. And Adonai ro'i lo echzar. Adonai ro'i lo echzar. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And that's actually the only line that we're going to look at. So you can close the thing. Yes. So Adonai ro'i lo echzar. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Raise your hand if you've heard this before. Great. All right. So for some people, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want is very comforting and it feels good. It's ancestral. It's the same thing that our grandparents and their grandparents, read in their Bibles, potentially, or in other languages before we came here. But for some people, it's a little less so. And so we're going to dive in and really see what else could these words mean? So ro'i, there we have this resh ayin, shoresh again. Ro'i could mean my shepherd. The shoresh resh ayin can also mean a beloved friend. A beloved friend. You see this meaning of the word come up a lot in Shir HaShirim, in the Song of Songs. That, the beloved, the rayati. So the ro'i, the resh ayin, can be shepherd, it can be beloved friend. If we look at the word echzar, if something is chaser, that means that it is less than. Something is chaser, it is less than. If you put the sound, that's the letter aleph, at the front of a word, you get I, future tense. And the word lo means no. We're not going to mess with that one quite yet. So the word echzar, I, future tense, less than. Lo echzar, not I, future tense, less than. So if we put this all together, we get God is my friend. I will not be made to feel less than. God is my friend. I will not be made to feel less than. And I invite you to notice, even for just a moment, how that feels in the soul. How that might feel different from the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God is my friend. I will not be made to feel less than. If we look at one more verse from this psalm, we're going to look at the line, Gam ki elech begeit, and I'll spell this all out. So I like to say the words so that we can hear what they sound like, because like the incantation of the Lashon Kodesh, of the holy language, it's important that we experience that even viscerally in our bodies, even if we don't know what all the words mean. But I'll break down very in detail the words that we're specifically dealing with here. So, Gam ki elech begeit salmavet lo irara ki ata imadi. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. What yea, though? What is that? Right? So if we're going to look at those two words that are often translated as yea, though, and see what else they can mean. Really what they mean in the most simple, like every single modern Hebrew dictionary that exists. So the words are gam, ki. The word gam means also. Also. It means, hold on, the story's not done yet, right? Ki, the word ki means because. Because. Yea, though I walk, incidentally of the fact that I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, as if that's not a big deal, right? Every time I hear this, it makes no sense to me. So, but if we look at the word ki, the key is the key, haha, that because I walk through the valley of the shadowy places. This is the song that we open the class with. Because I show up. Lo irara ki atam imadi. I don't have to be scared because God is with me. This is, I think, one of the most important pieces of sacred medicine from the book of Psalms. I feel myself getting emotional even, thinking about it and being with it with all of you, that this relationship, and it's a cause and effect relationship that we have with God. Because we show up, God shows up too. And then we don't have to be scared. And look at what it's not saying. It's not saying we don't ever have to go through difficult things. It's not saying, and then everything will be fine right away. It's saying, because I show up in the what moments of life, God is going to meet me there always, 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 always. And then we can walk together and it can be less scary. Lo irara ki ata imadi, right? I don't have to be scared because you're with me. Not because I give it to you and then I sit on my butt waiting for a miracle to happen. Not because, I empower myself and I'm all alone, right? I don't have to be lost in my fear because, again, God is my friend. We are walking together through whatever it is that we are walking through. So let's take a breath here. One thing that I like to remind people at this point as we're exploring is because there's hard stuff. There is, globally, communally, personally, I'm sure we are facing difficult things. And sometimes it's important to be reminded that every single person sitting here has survived 100% of the hard days that you have faced so far. That's a pretty incredible statistic. Right? How many things can we say 100% about? Very, very few. And yet, every single person sitting here has survived 100% of the difficult things that life has, thrown at you thus far. And so this verse offers the a tangible medicinal quality for how we might do that more consciously, right? That because of our willingness to show up, our willingness to not give up, that God is meeting us there, whatever that means for each of us individually. And then we can be less scared and we can one day at a time, walk through. Again, it doesn't say run, right? It doesn't say magically teleport. We're walking. So I see Marilyn has her hand up, and we'll take a few moments for other questions and comments as well. Marilyn, please.
Yes, well, after studying Noah, the Torah portion this week, God walked with Noah.
Yes.
And then, of course, we talked about Abraham walked by himself, and God walked, so he didn't need as much help as Noah. But this walking idea is so very beautiful. The fact that you don't have to be in Psalm 23. You could wake up every single day and God is walking with you.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
You said it all so beautifully. You touched me so deeply already with your words, your songs, your interpretations. It's very beautiful.
Thank you, Marilyn. I'm so glad that you're here learning with us, really.
I mean, it's a gift. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments thus far? Amy, yes.
Oh, you unmuted me. Thank you. I love everything that you're saying. And what I love is the I thou. And I love that you bring it so it's tangible. Everything, when I've read that prayer, it was always out there. It was nothing that I could really connect with. And this is a beautiful illustration of how we can hone it into our own lives and our relationship with God and walk with Him as our friend. And it takes away so much of the angst, the fear, the unknowing. It just brings it home to something very comfortable. So thank you.
Thank you. Evie, yes. And then Marcia.
My question was, if you could tell us, I don't remember what the phrase was right before Gam ki elach, and why the necessity of the word Gam. Why also? Why not just ki elach, because I walked? Maybe there's a phrase before that would explain it to me a little bit more.
Yeah, so let's see. So it's the Almei Menuchot Yena Haleni. So it's just in Psalm 23 before that, it's talking about, it's the, God leads me along still waters and is with me in the green pasture. It's that all of these things that God is doing that kind of feel comforting, perhaps. And then it's saying, and also, there's hard stuff too. And because I don't just show up for God to take me on a walk through a pretty meadow. I show up to partner God in walking through the really hard stuff too.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
sort of like yes and as opposed to yes but.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
Exactly.
got it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And that is, before we go to Marcia and then Susan, one of my favorite concepts as a psychologist, again, is this concept of dialectics, which is exactly what Evie is saying, that we often want to say, yeah, but, when we say but, that kind of negates the thing that came before it. And life is one big dance of yes and. Yes and. That the concept of dialectics from psychology and elsewhere is that something can be true, thing A can be true, and then thing B comes along and is also true, and it doesn't make thing A any less true, right? If we look at so much of our interpersonal challenges, and this, we won't get too tangential, right? But just a little nugget, that so many of our interpersonal challenges have to do with the fact that everyone is competing to be right. And the concept of dialectics says, listen, like, you don't have to be any less right just because I'm also right, right? I don't have to be any less right in order for me to allow you to be right. That there is not a monopoly on truth. And of course, there's so much more to say about that. But to just say for right now that certainly when it comes to our spiritual journeys, our relationship with God, the more that we can just invite and kind of quiet the impulse to but, it's a good idea. So
we have Susan and Judith.
Okay.
Susan, I'll unmute you.
Thanks, Vanessa. Rabbi, I've really enjoyed your presentation, but I do have a question, especially regarding what you talked about gender.
Yes.
And I have always had a problem with the Psalms and so many prayers that refer to God as the Lord.
Me too.
And that is definitely not gender neutral. To me, God is a very personal thing. And I don't imagine a man sitting with puppet strings controlling everything. To me, as I said, it's so personal. But what is your answer to all these prayers referring to, I mean, even the Shema, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. That also is not gender neutral. And it bothers me.
Yeah. Guess what? It bothers me too. And that is why, the word, so if you look at the Shema, for example,
Mhm.
the Hebrew for what we say Adonai is the unpronounceable four-letter name of God. It is incredibly sacred. We don't ever pronounce it in its fullness.
Right.
And it is so far beyond gender, it's almost laughable to make a point of it. And when we look at who was translating, these texts and deciding what English words and even what Hebrew words to associate with this just above it all four letters, it was a bunch of men making these decisions. And so
Right.
if you think about it like that everybody wants to see themselves reflected in the divine. And so because the people who decided how we were going to write this down in the beginning were men, they chose male pronouns and male-oriented words like Lord. Had it been, had we come down as a more matriarchal society later on through the rabbinic period, the words would have been different. The four letters, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, the Hey, those would be all the same. But how they feel, how we would be taught to feel about them would be different. And so that is exactly what my rabbinate, a lot of it is about, is saying that these four letters, like what What do you want to call it? Right? So there's one, I can give you a couple of options to try out. So one is that if we play with these 4 letters, they can be arranged in all kinds of ways and permutated in all kinds of ways. One of the ways that people with a more feminist leaning will render this is to say Havaya. So rather than Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, we look at Hey, Vav, Yud, Hey. Same thing, just switched a little bit. And Havaya ends with that Ah sound, which is a feminine sound. We can also shorten the Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, and it becomes Ya, which hallelujah, right? This is all over the place. No one taught us that that's actually feminine. Very simply feminine. It has that Ah sound at the end. So there are, and if you look through any translations that I do, I use, God, the creator, presence, Shekhinah, the indwelling divine presence. So you're totally right, Susan. And it's very important that each of us feel empowered in our own ways to play with how to make the names for God feel more accessible so that we can open more widely the portal of connection. Because the words themselves are beyond gender. It's about how we in our own humanness play with them and land them in our souls. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for that explanation. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We have Judith.
Actually, Marcia was first. She raised her.
Marcy?
hand.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
I unmuted you. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I'm really excited about this because I love poetry and I've been reading the Psalms, for years, but I always get kind of caught up in this feeling of sadness because of all the violence and battles and enemies. And so looking at it in this new way is really exhilarating for me. And I'm curious how is the word enemy interpreted in terms of the letters and also battle? Those are the two kind of concepts that come up all through these.
Mm-hmm.
Is it sort of the same, enemies and what was the other?
Yeah, so enemy is one of those Russia, Oyev, Tsorai, like those words would be translated as enemies sometimes.
Mhm.
And so those are the explanations that I gave. And if you look at, there's different different words. There's hachlama, there's and milchama, and things in the like krav, shoresh, which it's a lot. I don't want to get too confusing for people, but yeah. So one of the things conceptually, without getting too much, we reach out. We can talk about this, further, but without opening too many more doors so that it gets too confusing. I'll say that conceptually, one of the things that I look at is where the battle is taking place. So again, is this a war that's happening externally, or if there's a lot of especially the Tsorai word specifically of those 3, maybe it's the inner battle. Maybe it's the different parts of myself that are fighting. There's a lot of that. If you read through and pray through these Psalms as I've rendered them, you'll see that a lot of it has to do with the inner battles and how we're turning to God to overcome them. And there's much more to say, but that feels
Thank
like
you.
a accessible place to leave it for now.
Thanks.
Yeah. Judith?
Hi, Brielle.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
So delighted to have you here and so delighted to be looking at your Psalms with you again. It's like, I met Brielle at the Olive Kala this summer. I took an amazing class with her and about her book. So it was I'm just delighted. And uh Evie, your question, I'm still reflecting on your question. And Brielle, you're like totally opening this psalm up for me in such a beautiful way. And I'm seeing this progression through it.
Mhm.
First, the relationship is established in verse 1. My friend, who is God? God's my friend. Who am I? I am somebody that has worth and I'm not going to be made to feel less than, right? And then we've got to walk through the garden. We've got some beauty and some nice places, um, and some rest. And there's like this, you use the word cozy, waters, still waters. I mean, it's like, this nice thing. And then the next one, which is the one right before Gam Kielech.
Mhm.
The traditional translation I'm looking at, he renews my life, guides me in right paths as befits his name. And what you bring to that is, yeah, we've got this relationship, we've got work to do.
Mhm.
We have to pursue justice.
Mhm.
So I've got this nice cozy relationship, and out of that, I have the means that I need to actually take on some hard stuff. And then from that, I'm going to have to walk through some nasty stuff,
Mhm.
but I'm not alone.
Amen.
And I don't know, I'm really moved by
Mm.
how this psalm takes this relationship and deepens it, and yeah,
Mm.
and makes walking through the world, right now feels particularly difficult.
Mhm.
This is, looks the most complicated and difficult that I've experienced in my life. And
Mm.
but we have this relationship, and we can do the work we need to do. Anyway, thank you.
Bill Rosen also said, isn't the Shechianu prayer saying the same thing as your statement that 100% of us are here because we have survived trauma in our lives?
Sure. Yeah, right. Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'hikianu l'zman hazeh, that God has enlivened us and and sustained us and brought us to this moment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, friends, this is such rich conversation, and I am
is.
just loving this so much. We're gonna move forward a little bit, and I want to give us an option. We're gonna oh, okay, there's 3. Yep, okay. No, I'm not. I'm gonna decide. There were I thought that there were 2 more pieces that I had, and I was gonna give you the options of which one we went to, but then I saw that there's a third, and I'm gonna choose that one. And then maybe I'll come back another time and we can do
I was going to say that at the end, but I can say it now.
wonderful. So I feel like I can't leave us this morning without opening up the meaning of the word yir'ah. Yir'ah. Okay? We might have heard, well, okay. I want us to think for a moment. Think for a moment of the last time that you felt scared of something. Yir'ah is often translated as fear, but we're going to see what else it could mean. So think for a moment of the last time that you felt scared of something, how that felt in your body. In your body. You might have felt your heart racing a little bit. Maybe your hands get a little sweaty or cold. Maybe your words are, maybe your breathing's a little shallow. When we feel scared, these are all physiological ways that our body experiences fear. Now kind of let that go, right? And I want to ask next to imagine the last time that you felt excited by something. The last time you felt excited by something, maybe you were going on a vacation, maybe your child or your grandchild was coming to visit, maybe you were going to get to see a friend you haven't seen in a long time, or something that just made you feel alive and really excited. And how that felt in the body, right? You might have felt kind of jittery and shaky. You might feel your heart racing a little bit. You might start to feel a little sweaty. You might feel restless. And you'll notice that the physiological experience of being excited by something and being scared of something is pretty much exactly the same. It's that same uppity experience. And many of us have been conditioned that when we feel that uppity experience, we ask ourselves, what am I scared of? What is threatening me? And, you know, one of the things is to transform when we feel that uppity feeling, rather than what is threatening me, what is there to be excited about? What new possibility is emerging, right? Even when I'm preparing for a teaching, I've done this so many times, right? And yet it's like, oh, like I'm doing this for a new community. Like, are they, I don't know what their background is. Like, is it going to be accessible? Or are they going to like me, right? Like there's all these, I can be scared and I can get into that smallness, right? And then if I ask myself, okay, I'm teaching for a new community, what is there to be excited about? Oh yeah, that's right. I love doing this, right? I get to meet a whole new group of people. I get the opportunity to connect with a whole, new community. There's so much to be excited about. And so we see that when there's a situation, if we look for what is scary about this, we're going to find it. And if we look for what is exciting about this, we are going to find it. And this is what the word yirah is teaching us. So I'm going to read just a couple of paragraphs from the book. If you get it, I highly recommend reading the introduction chapter. It talks about some of these concepts. There's a 2-part introduction chapter. It talks about some of these concepts that I've broken down this morning and many others as far as like conceptually what's happening here. And it makes the journey through the text itself, I think, much more juicy and accessible. So I'm going to read here. If you want to follow along, you don't have to. It's very short. On page 23, a final word on wowing. I once jumped off a mountain in India. True story. I was attached to a parachute, but still, it was a pretty intense moment. I was shaking, my heart was pounding, my eyes were tearing, and I just kept saying, okay, 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 as the person guiding the adventure took me through the final steps of the process, eventually instructing me to start running, and then we were off. This is yirah, a word that appears in various forms throughout the book of Psalms. We have all potentially heard the phrase God-fearing person. Some of us have heard that before. This is, in my humble opinion, a wildly unfortunate translation of the Hebrew yirat Hashem. God does not call us to fear anything. God calls us to be wowed. That does not mean that there isn't fear. It means that the divine presence shining through the moment allows us to transcend the fear if we accept the invitation for it to do so. Fear is a small-minded emotion. It is based in a lack of confidence in the self to hold or overcome whatever we are fearing in the moment. Yirah calls us to go deeper. Yirah is God saying, yes, this is wild, scary even, and yet here we are, me and you, and we are doing this together. So this is, it's important, friends, as we are facing so many of life's challenges, so many things that we can be, woed by. And I always say that we want to transform. We use the power of sacred text, the power of relationship with God to transform our woes into wows. And it's literally, again, the same word. And yet just a simple shift in perspective, it changes everything. So I want to really bless us to be able to do that even once, um, and that we can remember that God is our friend. We can remember that there's never ever a reason for anyone in this room to feel less than, and that because we show up, God is with us, and there is an infinite well of opportunity for us to be wowed. So I really thank you so much for inviting me to be with you all this morning. And we have a few more minutes just for a couple final comments, and then we'll close with the song that we opened with. And thank you so much.
I know that we're all going to listen differently to Adonai Ro'i. Adonai is my, however we just translate that when we hear it at a funeral. I know I will. And as the moderator, I get to ask, what are you working on next?
Oh my gosh. Well, I put in the chat the link to the, you can get my book on, and all of, my stuff on my website, and also on Amazon. And what I'm working on is, serving God in joy, however God wants me to do that. So I have finished translations of Proverbs and of the Song of Songs, and of the weekday prayer book that percolating on publishing which one is going to be next. And
yeah, which prayer book?
The weekday prayer book for Shachrit, Mincha, and Mariv for the morning, afternoon, and evening.
You're just so you're not, not, it wouldn't be ours, Mishkan Tefillah or.
So it would be, it's the Koran. So it would have everything that Mishkan Tefillah has plus. So it's yeah.
Okay.
And that's, something else we can discuss, how these things show up in liturgy in different ways that I play with liturgy. And
I mean, again, just reminding people, Tanakh, that's our Bible, Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, Torah, prophets, writings. And in the writings, you have Psalms, Proverbs, Chronicles. You have a lot of material,
a lot of good stuff
there. Just go right down it. And it's something that we do, you hear it and you may not realize it. But when I say, oh, blah, 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 you're like, oh yeah, I know that. I know that. And sometimes in Mishkan Tefillah, you can look and see that it's from Psalms, it's from Proverbs. Where did this quote come from? And we're all lifelong learners. And so it's always important for us to look at that. And I'll be calling you. It was really a beautiful, beautiful session. Any last remarks before I let everybody go? Yeah, what a great morning. And we have a lot to think about. I have a couple of books in the office. You can email me or come in, or once they're gone, well, you'll have to order from the website. And it's just great seeing everyone.
Did you take your stuff off Spotify? No, my stuff should be still on Spotify.
Whoa,
on Spotify, I'm Brielle Page.
Okay.
And everywhere else, so music like Spotify, YouTube, whatever, I'm Brielle Page. You can find me Brielle Page Rassler. I'm pretty, yeah. Google Rabbi Brielle. There aren't too many of us. You can find me. And
the song is beautiful. And we're going to end with that.
Yes, we'll end with the song. It's on my album, Dance in the Expanse. And that's another thing that's, thank God I have my two first albums that were recorded quite a few years ago at this point. And there might be I have many, 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 many new songs, and stay tuned for when they'll be more publicly available. But whenever I teach, I'm always sharing new music. So we'll end with this one and see what happens next. So thank you again. Please sing along, sing with me. And here, I'll post the words again so that they're the most recent thing in our chat. And feel free to reach out on my website as well. You can reach me directly, And I'd love to be in touch. So thank you all again. I wish you blessings on the rest of your Sunday. And may it be a peaceful week of healing and joy coming up. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow we have nothing to fear. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy places. Because I walk through the valley of the shadowy times. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow we have nothing to fear. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. God, you are with me. Through the shadow we have nothing to fear.
Mamash toda. Here's a Spotify. You can look at that, and I will be listening. And thank you, everyone. It was a great morning, and what a great way to start off our week, our day. And we're in Cheshvan, so not that much. No holidays coming up. All right. I'll see everybody this week. Be well, all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Brielle. Thank you,
Thank you.
Vanessa.
Thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you.